Well, welcome everyone to the live reaction show. You're here with me, Steve Wyss, and I've got an absolute treat for you today with Simon Holden. An absolute pleasure to have you here. Simon, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, and it's great to be here, Steve. You know, when you stay in a hotel and it's quiet, Steve, you go to the reception. It could be any of us, but I mean you, and you say to them, "Is there any chance of a courtesy upgrade to one of the better rooms at the hotel's quiet?" Well, you've got a courtesy upgrade here with me after watching Mr. Seeley last week. So this is like a courtesy upgrade for the whole audience. So it's great to be here.
I'm not sure how that is going to go down
Only
with
a bit of
Mr.
fun.
Seeley. But it's great to have you here. You're very well dressed. Even I dressed up today because I knew that I didn't want to be, overshadowed by yourself.
Well, the Earl of Cardigan is here, and I felt it only right to wear the new Lyle Scott Golf cardigan available from all bad clothes stores this Christmas.
Last time me and you did something together, it was the Ask the Handicapper. I still believe you can find that somewhere. I think you got on the original Bet Rivers channel. It was I really enjoyed that hour we had. It was really good. Some great content today. But we're talking betting now. We're talking reaction show. And as you join us live now, everyone, there's just been a goal at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City have gone 2-1 up against Spurs. There were two very early goals in this game. But it looks like, City have retaken the lead now, 2-1 for them. We've got an in-running goal line, an Asian goal line now, 5.75, Simon. And we're only at the 31st minute. That looks a huge goal line. But Phil Foden there with the goal. Should that cover now, going over?
I think so. I think there's more goals in this game. I mean, Tottenham have looked very, very lively in this first half. Man City just scream goals, don't they? I mean, I know it was a topic you covered extensively last week, but this whole total goals, the fact that the games are lasting for about 9 hours on average now, and there's so much extra time. There's so many attacking teams in this Premier League that I'm afraid it's the overs all the way for me. I can see this being about 5-3, Steve.
It was something daft like 3-2 last year. I think there's a history. Spurs actually do play. They're not afraid of City in recent years, and they sometimes got results against them. But you'd be a brave man to be going in the under, even at a 5.75 goal line in running. You're absolutely right. Premier League today been so many goals. Nigel Seeley, the boss, actually cashed with the one under in West Ham. He did well to hang on for that one. I've been done up like a kipper in France. Lille against Metz, 0-0 heading into first half stoppage time, but there was +6 added, and there's been 2 goals scored. So, back in the day, I'd have been 0-0, happy days. I'm on the under 2.75, so I'm not dead quite yet. But it's been a bit of a crazy game, actually. There was a missed penalty early on there, Lille against Metz, and then suddenly it's absolutely kicked off in the stoppage time of the first half. So let's just see how that kicks off now into the second half. Premier League, like I said today, tons of goals around. What is going on with these goals, Simon? I wasn't even going to talk about this to you, but the craziness earlier. Why is this happening?
For many reasons. I mean, I actually think the art of defending is not so much a lost art as has completely disappeared now. I mean, some of the games I've seen this year have been dreadful. And of course, for those in-running players, Steve, that can hold their nerve when Liverpool get towards the 88th, 89th, 90th minute and are losing, if you keep the faith, has there ever been a team, and I say this as an Everton fan, so it sickens me to watch it, but has there ever been a team who turn games around in injury time and have a habit of doing it? And I say it gives me no pleasure to say this, but what a skill. It reminds me of the old Alex Ferguson Man United team who were never beaten to the last. Yeah. This Liverpool team has got something tough about it, and they've done it again, pulled it out of the fire. The in-running players that keep the faith in this team doing it have cashed yet again.
Laidback Ahmed said live betting was crazy and lucrative today. He hasn't landed this much in quite a while, so well done to anyone who's been betting the goals in running. Great to hear that one. We'll stay on the Liverpool theme here because I actually have a futures bet which I took pre-season. Liverpool to win the Premier League without Manchester City market. Now, it looks like a 3-horse race right now to actually win the Premier League. Manchester City minus 162, Arsenal plus 350, Liverpool plus 450. You can still do the without City market as well. Where is your personal money in the outright Premier League at the moment?
Well, I have actually bet Arsenal yesterday, as I told you. I thought they looked the
Straight on
finished
the nose.
article to me. On the nose, no messing. I think the Manchester City team is in decline. Let me give the quick caveat that they're still an exceptional team who may well win the Champions League again. I actually think that's what they're interested in doing. They just look slightly over the top. No Kevin De Bruyne. They don't look as strong defensively. They don't have the air of invincibility that they had, Steve, as Tottenham is showing today. And I think once teams think that a great team is slightly over the top, they will play more attacking formations. They will have a go more. And I can see them just coming unstuck. Whereas I think Arsenal are a year stronger. The players are a year more experienced. I think he's an exceptional coach. I know all this about he moans and groans all the time, but such is life. I think he is superb. And I just think Arsenal have value to nick it.
Interesting. Haaland just misses a massive chance there for Manchester City. This Spurs defense is absolutely
is the one.
I know they've got. I know. Well, I know they're missing players, in not just in defense but also midfield. But Jesus Christ, I mean, Haaland doesn't usually miss too many of those. I'm kind of with you a little bit with Arsenal. They've impressed me more recently. They've been winning games that they didn't deserve to win, say back September, October time. I have to say they were really impressive against Lens. I thought they battered Wolves, really. It could have been 5 or 6. Arteta's just bang up for it. He celebrates every win. I mean, often the celebration police are out with Arsenal, aren't they? But I've got to give credit to Liverpool for that turnaround today. I think Alisson's injury has been big for them. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. They're going to need him back for the Arsenal game, which is coming up just before Christmas, aren't they? Derek van der Waals reckons I should have taken Liverpool without Arsenal. Quite an interesting. I mean, it's going to be close. I think it might be a close title race between three teams there. Let's just go on, Simon.
No, I was just going to say that I've already said one nice thing about Liverpool. Let's not push it, but I do think their win today, what a weekend to get it, and it's really announced themselves. But you can't keep surely, Steve, winning these injury time kind of thrillers. It has to catch up with you eventually, surely. But I'll tell you the other major play I've done this year, and it's kind of like it's not in the to win outright, it's for a Champions League place, and that is Aston Villa. Now, of course, they've got beaten this afternoon, surprisingly, by Bournemouth, and it won't be a good evening tonight for the manager and the guys there. But I do think they are really progressing quickly. I think he's an exceptional coach. I think they've got a very, very well organised team, and I can see them sneaking that top 4, Steve.
I like the pre-season. I had this debate with someone on Twitter, or X as it's known now, who's better, Roberto De Zerbi or Unai Emery. And I'll be honest, at that stage I was more in the De Zerbi corner, but I think I've maybe underestimated Unai Emery a little bit. I think we all do a bit over here just because of that time at Arsenal didn't work out well. And, looking back, perhaps the media were just against him too much to blind some of us of his actual methods. But for me now, the top 4 market, I'm not as interested in it because the Premier League might get a 5th Champions League spot based on coefficient. So I'm not sure if necessarily will always, it might 5th might be enough. But, Villa at plus 200 or Spurs at plus 200 right now, I'll be wanting to be on Villa. For example, so I don't blame you for that. You mentioned that you are an Everton fan, and these are. I mean, it's been a difficult few years, really, hasn't it? To be fair, Simon, big win. Two really big wins at the bottom of the table yesterday. Burnley 5-0 against Sheffield United. Everton with a win against Forest, and obviously Everton have had 10 points deducted. If that wasn't the case, you'd be sort of mid-table right now, wouldn't you? But I mean, how do you? This relegation market now is sort of shaping up. I can tell you the latest BetRivers odds for relegation: Sheffield United minus 770. You might as well have your flipping whole town on that because they just look horrific. Luton Town minus 335, Burnley minus 200, Everton plus 175 to go down. It's plus 400 the rest. What do you think this relegation market is shaping up to be?
I think you've got to ask yourself a question. Are Everton 3 wins better than the 3rd worst team in the Premier League? If you believe they are, then they'll stay up. I think it's going to be borderline I do think that now he's established a set pattern of play that the team are buying into, which of course he did at his club Burnley very, very well. And it looked like it wasn't going to happen here. But the club, the poor old chairman has gone, going to be much missed. New stadium on the way. It looked as though they were like just headed one way, and that was south and down. But there's been an incredible transformation. They look like they're playing the right way. And I do think, Steve, that the way that the fans are behaving, have united behind the team and the club for the first time in a long time, and that this actually, in a perverse way, might be the best thing that could have happened, because you've got this united front, this siege mentality now, a shared enemy in the Premier League.
Fired up, basically.
Yeah, fired up, yeah. And Goodison, which had become Everton fans refer to Anfield as a cathedral because it's so quiet, but Goodison had become, in its own way, a very, very miserable place to be. And, that was if you had a seat facing
the new stadium
pitch.
Looks nice. I saw an aerial of the
fantastic.
New stadium.
Yeah.
Looks very nice, that, actually. It'll be interesting to see if they can get some sort of reaction in there. But, Everton are an interesting one. They do seem better away from home right now. Is there any value in this market? I mean, I'll be honest with you, two teams that I am worried about, and they are Fulham, who, to be fair, today have actually played quite well by the sounds of it. But I just don't think they've got much. Usually they don't have many goals in them. And then Nottingham Forest, who I think they've got a massive problem without their striker, Taiwo Awoniyi. Take him out of that team, they seem toothless. They seem to be struggling. Plus 600 for Forest to go down. The problem I've got is at the bottom the three promoted teams, apart from Luton, to be fair to them, at times have shown a bit of character. It's just like they just always feel like there's going to be three worse,
Yeah. And I think it shows you how quickly the Premier League changes. But if we'd have been speaking yesterday, I would have said Fulham and Bournemouth were two teams that I'd be concerned about getting dragged into it. They both produced two fantastic performances today. I think Forest look so devoid of attacking threat, don't they, at times, that you've got to worry about them scoring enough. Sheffield United have gone, haven't they? I mean,
mate, they could be the worst. There was talk about Luton being Derby this year. It could be Sheffield United. I think they're one of the worst teams that's ever, so far, that the Premier League's ever seen. Like, genuinely, I mean, I just can't believe how poor they are. But they're gone. Minus 770. That's a mortgage job, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Finding money in the street. I mean, Luton look an appalling team to me. No offense to any fans of theirs. However, what they've got is that quirky thing about the little ground, the atmosphere. Could they sneak a few, close games and the fans getting them over the line? I just think they've got a little edge there. But appalling team. I don't think they get many points at all.
They are, well, Luton Town, I think, are very well managed. I think Rob Edwards is one of the better units. I mean, I think everyone would agree on that. They have actually added a little bit of quality with the likes of Ross Barkley. It's just the overall depth. Away from home, they don't look very capable of getting many results to me. But they will. No one wants to go to Kenilworth Road. We use this saying a lot on at Because We Win. It can be a tough place to go. Yeah, I think Luton are the sort of the wild card in this. They're the one team who might potentially just get some results at certain points. So it's always a market we keep an eye on, Simon, as you know. And just briefly on the sack race, I'm not going to stick too long on this now because Paul Heckingbottom is 1-4 favourite next manager out. He could be out the door tomorrow morning. He should be, really. I mean, you can't lose 5-0 to Burnley and expect to keep your job. But we do know there's two other managers. There's a lot of media pressure on Steve Cooper for some reason at Forest. Right? I think they do really well to get a better manager than him right now. And then, of course, Eric Ten Hag, Mr. Baldy himself. Manchester United were horrendous yesterday. Would any of those two have an interest for you in the next manager out?
Well, I told you before, at this time of the year, I always look up rather than down because you've got to ask yourself the question, who would come in at Sheffield United and save them? No one. I mean, you could ask Mourinho to do it 3 days a week and, I don't know, name your other one to do it the other 4. They wouldn't save them. They're gone. I would say with Forest, I think it's extremely unfair on Cooper that he's even in the frame to be the next one. I mean,
it is. I can't believe that either.
I thought he did an incredible job last year. Surely they'll give him some grace. I just think Man United looks a club in serious trouble. I thought they were poor again. You know, he had this image as the tough guy who was going to go in there, new sheriff in town type thing. There doesn't appear to be any more effort than there was under the previous two managers. And I look back to the Mourinho years when people said it wasn't good enough, Steve, and they were winning cups every other week, weren't they? I mean, they should have realised that that was a golden time and kept him on. I think, I don't know, the fans' reaction and the atmosphere when you watch the live games at Old Trafford, it's almost like they're not expecting them to win. I've never known that there. So I think he's one big defeat away from the sack. So I would say he's the value in that market now.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, you say there's a new sheriff in town, but you know, it's like there's no law, no proper law there, really. You know, it's like they have free reign, don't they? The players can do what they want still. You know, there's not enough toughness. They can't get it right. But whether or not they actually bite the bullet and sack him this early, I don't know. That's the thing. I think the problem with Forest is the owner's a madman. I think is he Greek or something like that, Cypriot maybe. And every time I see him, he just looks a wild creature who press the panic button anytime it's close, and then he gauges the reaction of the fans to see if he should sack. Bit like what Leeds were a bit under Radrizzani, a little bit to a degree. So I can see that, but. I think the big problem if you're betting in that market now, and still there's been no manager change since the start of the season, is Heckingbottom. Heckingbottom is now a ticking time bomb. So you've got to wait and see what happens. If Heckingbottom can get past Monday, he may well get at least until Christmas, because if you don't get sacked on that yesterday, I don't know what doesn't get you the sack, Simon. So we're gonna move on, because I know you had your eye on the Euro 2024 draw yesterday.
Indeed.
I can tell you, Euro draw. I mean, I was just looking at the outright odds today across the board. Who's the money coming for after the draw? Who's been drifting? Someone like the Netherlands, for example, after their draw, you know, you can nearly get 20-1 on them in places. You know, England have now become joint favourites outright in certain spots. But I mean, there is going to be a show this week coming out on Bet Rivers. I'm not going on it. I think it's Nigel, Daniele, and Rory, and they're going to really have a look at that draw for some early thoughts for you. But I mean, just a day on from it, Simon, what are you thinking for the Euro 24 outright? Just a couple of teams that might be a bit of potential.
Well, I've two players already in this, and I'm very, very happy after the draw. In fact, I've gone in again on one of them. I've got Portugal at plus 800. Of course, Martinez, ironically, when you hear that my other bet is Belgium, the old Diable Rouge themselves. So they're plus 1,400 on Bet Rivers. That's an incredible price. I think Belgium have got an easy group. They're the bigger price. We'll deal with them first. I think Domenico Tedesco is a fantastic manager for them. Now, he stamped his authority on that squad in a way that Martinez could never do. That was like players running the whole show. And I think that Belgium, Steve, they've had their sort of minute in the spotlight, or their years in the spotlight, when they were the team, the pressure, the golden generation. I think that's gone now. And there's a parallel. If you remember when Southgate first took over England, it was the first time when they went to that World Cup. Nobody thought they had any chance at all. Players relaxed. Before you know it, they've got a decent chance. I just feel with this Belgian team now in transition that they're playing a little bit freer. I think they're going to have a big tournament. And of course, Portugal come here under Martinez. Perfect fit for him, because Portugal have now returned to playing the sort of football we expected from them years ago. They've gone very boring. And I think one thing Martinez was talking about Everton, some of the matches there when he played, didn't win anything, but you know, some of the stuff was fantastic. And I think Portugal are going to be the team if you want to watch football. So they're the two for me. I cannot believe England's price in this market now, Steve. Their prices are
the thing is, Bet Rivers, these are the
Cup.
Bet Rivers odds. These are the Bet Rivers odds, right? England and France are plus 350 favourites. Germany, the host nation, plus 650. Spain at plus 700. You got Portugal and Belgium. They're Portugal plus 800, and Belgium you can get plus 1,400.
Oh, it's massive.
What I say, Belgium, I do wonder if that ship has sailed a bit with that generation, but you do make a good point there. They've got an easy group. I think of all the big nations,
very
easy. The easiest group. Yeah. I'll say that. Portugal, love watching them. I mentioned it on one of the other international shows. Martinez can sometimes give you false hope, though, can't he, for teams that he manages? And then like at the real crunch, that something, I don't know, goes wrong, or like can Martinez win an ugly game 1-0? But I get you where you're coming from there. England, for me, I've said this along, on paper, England and France have the two best squads. I don't think you can. I mean, some will argue that, but I mean, I'm quite pro England. I know you're very anti England. I'm very pro England in terms of the squad. I'm not pro England in terms of the manager. And then I've just got to ask myself a question. Is Gareth Southgate? Is he sort of man management, that sort of style? Is that good enough for England, or does he need a bit more tactical acumen to get them over the line in one of these events?
Well, past history would suggest he can't do it. I mean, what I would say is when you watch England in these key games, if they don't bury a team in the first 20, 25 minutes, they struggle. They seem to run out of ideas. The last half hour against Italy at Wembley was like hell on earth watching that. And he seems unable to change things in big games. And that always worries me. If we're talking about, to win one of these big two tournaments, I don't think the guy's got it in him. And I think recent team selections, I think he's becoming more defensive the longer he's in the job, Steve.
I believe that we could have won. When I say we, I mean England. England could have won the Euro final against. They could have won the final against Italy if they'd not been so passive after taking the lead. I think the France game, to be fair, it was a 50-50. We maybe outplayed them, but I think he'll look back in that day, probably Rashford was a better call in the team. You wouldn't have Rashford in now, but back then I think he was a form horse. So I think he has his favourites as Gareth Southgate, and those favourites, if they're not playing as well, can be a big problem. Just an update on the live games here. Man City 2, Tottenham 1 at half time. If you're looking for a goal line over now, you can get smidgens of over 5 Asian, which would mean you just need 2 more goals to guarantee at least a push. I have to probably look at overs in here because I think it could really kick off in the second half. Or alternatively, you could back on an Asian handicap, Man City minus 1.25 from the 2-1 position. They just look. I think City get 4 goals in this game. I don't know how many Spurs are going to get, but I definitely think Man City will get four goals. A couple of other games going on. Bridger mentioned this. Yeah, 2 in stoppage time. First half was a killer for underbackers like myself in the Lille game. There is 8 minutes into the second half now. Problem is, Mets have to go for it. The game plan's gone, and I'm just praying I maybe get a half loser out of this, Simon. I can't see the under cashing. There will be at least another goal, you would think. But you never know in football. German Bundesliga, Dortmund, my favourite team. Those who've been watching recently, I've been betting against them a lot. And looking at the stats, I'm surprised that they are ahead against Leverkusen. I've not had that game on, so I can't really give too much of an opinion on it. Euro 2024 groups then. So I'm just a couple of groups to talk about. England, not England's group, the German group does catch your eye, doesn't it? Because there's 4 teams there who all might fancy winning it.
I like Hungary in that group. I think they're a knocking bet. I mean, it's not that long ago when they came here and outplayed England. I think they're a very, very tasty team. And of course, the pressure on Germany, who are not exactly knocking it out of the park. And I think that pressure is going to build. All it would need was a poor first performance. And I think that group could be wide up. So Hungary to win that group, it looks outstanding value to me.
It's been a penalty in this Lille game. Footballers are just stupid sometimes, Simon. The goalkeeper's come out here. He didn't need to come out. And Mets have got their second penalty of the game. They missed their first one in the first half. So I'm going to have to survive another penalty here to have any chance of this under cashing. But this is just brainless goalkeeping for me. Honestly, I'm lost for words sometimes with decision making in soccer. You're in the hands of the players at the end of the day. Very, very frustrating. The Mets should really get on the score sheet now in this game. And there was another group you wanted to talk about at the Euros. Was it England's group that you were saying off air that you were an interest in?
No, the other one, I just thought Belgium have dropped on. I mean, I would already back them, but I think they're an absolute steer for that group. I think it's an appalling
He saved
group.
The penalty. The penalty's been saved.
This is all happening.
What is going on? This is the second penalty that Mets have missed in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. If he's actually stayed on his line, that is, you can't celebrate anything with VAR now, can you? But I can't believe that Mets have missed 2 penalties.
Shocking. In
one game. But yeah, I agree. Belgium's group was very, very easy. After that, obviously you've got to get through the knockout rounds and all sorts of things along on those lines. But anyway, you're on the show, Simon. You're something a bit different because you have extensive sports
and excessive.
Sports knowledge. And I actually want to quiz you before we finish. I know you've done a book on gambling and professional staking, and we're going to pick your brains about just general advice. But golf, I know, is a sport very close to your heart.
Indeed.
Those who follow the Instagram account and also the Twitter account from Because We Win, there was some great Ryder Cup content from you this year. Some great picks from you and Nigel Seeley as well. And it's kind of fitting that you're on the show this week because European Golf named Luke Donald as the Ryder Cup captain for 2025. Now, this is a long way away, it must be said. And, I'm not trying to, actually get people to be betting on the Ryder Cup so far in advance. But what are your thoughts on Luke Donald getting the role again for Europe?
I think he deserves it. I think it'll make absolutely no difference because I think the Americans are an utter certainty. One thing I will say about what we did up at Mill Ride there with the Ryder Cup videos is that a couple of people messaged and said, you fancy that Europeans betting Europe. Not at all. I should be getting stuck in heavily to the Americans every time. This is just a yo-yo event. We win it in Europe and the Americans win it in America. And Luke Donald being captain will have absolutely no say in it.
It hasn't had any effect on the odds. I honestly expected, I look back to the historical odds, I thought Europe would have shortened a bit by that news because how good Donald was. But if anything, they've actually, I think there were smidgens of more people back in America, bizarrely. To me, how it seemed. But we know home advantage is a big thing there. Who is the most likely captain to be for America, do you think?
Tiger Woods.
We don't know it. I mean, that would be, if Tiger then was named captain for America, would you expect to see huge money come in?
I think the second it's officially announced, which won't be for another 9 months, possibly. But I think if they make the decision, they'll do it as soon as they can because it'd be a huge boost to the whole PGA Tour, which needs it.
Yeah.
I think the price will shorten immediately. Now, I've just said I think the captain won't make any difference, but can you imagine the guy's first team talk, Steve? I mean, I think the Americans are going to be 3-0 up before they start, just having that man there. No offense to Luke Donald. I think it will be the sensational story if the greatest player of all time takes the reins in New York State at Bethpage Black, the world's hardest golf course. I mean, it's going to be tricked up to the max. This place is brutal. Of course, it's got the sign, only highly skilled golfers can enter and play.
I've seen that many times. I've always wanted to be like, if I'm in that vicinity, would I get on the course? Is it actually it's a public course, isn't it?
Public course,
It's incredible course. So
you queue up.
It's like Pebble Beaches as well. Probably a fair few. You get on there for, I don't know, $500 or something, knowing that. But
small change.
For that, it's small change over there for that sort of course. Europe, by the way, with Bet Rivers do offer a Ryder Cup market, plus 138 if you fancy Europe, minus 137 for the USA. The tie is at plus 1,200. I mean, it's nearly 2 years away, so you have your money. I'm not the sort of person who has my money tied up for that long, but I know some people like that sort of thing for long-term investments. So,
and then there's nothing to stop. I think it's one of those markets where if you have a good week, good month, good day, even just slot a few dollars. And before you know it, over a 2-year period, you've racked up a nice little bet on money that would have gone anyway, probably. So I actually quite like the little investment account. Obviously, you have to think the USA, or you've done your dollars. But I cannot really construct a strong argument against that USA team. We are a long way out, but it's a huge advantage they're going to have. And if it's Tiger Woods there at a home course with that home crowd, Europeans must be 3-1 to all still be alive by the Sunday night. Never mind win. I mean, it's going to be brutal. So I don't mind betting futures like that.
Yeah, but you're all over the USA. I mean, we know it's a tough place to go. Its home advantage is massive. I would have to agree with you there. I think that Donald's a good appointment for Europe because I don't think there was anyone else really. And after he just won, but he's probably going to finish with a 50%. I think a good result for Luke Donald actually would be to keep it close. Like, say it was, I don't know, 14.5. What would it be? 15-13, say. I think he could then say, you know what, I got a lot closer than some of these others. But just want to address a comment here from Claudio we had on last week. He's on about Nigel's. I've got to say, and I thought Nigel was very unlucky this week. He cashed with a good under. Did anyone honestly see Fulham scoring today at Anfield? Not me. And then I think, Villa against Bournemouth was a 50-50. So look, stick with what I'm saying, Claudio. Anyone, not just anyone who's on a poor run, stick with these guys long term, because it's over the season. I had a bad run about a couple of months ago, but you come back, and that's the key. It's a long term thing. It's not a bi-weekly sort of thing, Claudio. To stick with the main man there.
Can I just say, sorry, Steve,
yes.
Can I just say to Claudio, I did say, can you send that message at 5:45, not 5:30 UK time? But I'll still send him the $10. So thanks, Claudio.
Simon, this is a great bit of banter there from you. Some bets that will cash quicker than Ryder Cup 2025. We're going to have a very quick talk about the majors, because Bet Rivers do have the Masters, the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the British Open signed up. We'll probably have a couple of minutes on each. US Masters, that's probably where most of the money is right now. Everyone looking forward to Augusta in April. John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, the favourites for this event. Who do you see going well in the state of Georgia this April, Simon? And I just want to ask you about a Swedish player, Ludvig Åberg, who has really risen to prominence in recent months. It's to such an extent, he's actually now, I think, the joint fifth favourite to win the Masters. So
we'll be coming to him.
Yeah, but go on. Right, first of all, let's have a name. Winner of the Masters. Who are you going with? Just straight out on the nose.
What I will say very quickly, Steve, is if you're going to play these anti-post futures, whatever you want to call them, in the majors, you have to have an angle. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. You have to have a reason. And that reason has to be that legitimately you think the player will be shorter on the week. Because, you've got other things to worry about. Might be out of form, might be injured. You might lose the money. However, I've got a bet for every one of the four majors, and I've got a reason. Now, the Masters, my play is Scotty Scheffler, available plus 900 with Bet Rivers. Now, the Masters will come after the Players' Championship. Scheffler last year putted absolutely shockingly. Otherwise, he would have won at least two majors. His stats were off the chart in every other part of his game. He's working with Phil Kenyon now. He's playing this week at the Hero Challenge. He's going to win this by 3 or 4 shots. His putting has been incredible. If he adds that to the rest of his game at Augusta, everybody else is playing for second. And I think he could go off plus 500 on the week. So that's my angle with him. Scheffler for the Masters, I think he'll win the Players' Championship again. We saw him win that by 10 shots. He's got a massive advantage at Sawgrass. It just fits his eye perfectly. If he wins the Players' Championship well in March, he's going to go very short for the Masters. So I think he's worth getting involved with now, Steve.
What I do know for the Masters is often experience counts. I think the last rookie to win it was Fuzzy Zeller back in the day. And you don't tend to get someone win it until they've been there 3 or 4 times usually. So would that go against someone like Åberg or anyone else you're looking at in that market who's a younger player?
Yeah, it would do, because Augusta is very, very much, Patrick Harrington said that, the 5th time you go, you turn around to your caddy and say, I'm beginning to work this place out. I've been here for 5 years. So I think for a guy to turn up, going to be very, very tough, if not impossible. So we'll go elsewhere with Mr. Åberg, But Scotty
Scheffler, for the Masters. And Scotty Scheffler's the favourite with Bet Rivers for the PGA Championship in 2024. This is the second major. Actually, not sure where this is from. Simon, so you're going to tell me this one, but who do you fancy for this second major?
Well, I've got a bit of a curveball here. This is at Valhalla, one of the long tracks. Tiger Woods, I think he won a PGA there.
Bob May, wasn't it, in one of the best playoffs there's ever been?
The power play. And that was when Tiger was by far the longest. Now, the live golfers, we know that the top players, Brooks Koepka, of course, won this last year. They can come over. And I've been so impressed recently by Bryson DeChambeau. I know he clocked a 58 in one of the live tournaments. He's slimmed down now. He's gone back to his old swing, not trying to be this power play. And he's available at plus 4,400 for this. Huge price. And my angle here is I think he'll play well in the Masters. If he plays well in the Masters, he'll be cut for this. So it's a bit of a leap of faith bet. But I think Bryson, the brute power, now he's under a lot more control. He stopped trying to be like a novelty golfer. He's gone back. He's got a very underrated short game. Very good iron player. And he's still taking it seriously. A lot of the live guys, it's a pension. They're not practicing much now, but not Bryson. So I think he'll be competitive in the majors. I think he'll have a good Masters, but I think this is the one to get with him. Valhalla for the US PGA. at a huge
I
price.
like what I've seen. I do like what I've seen from Bryson DeChambeau, from what I've seen on Live and stuff.
Yeah,
like he's becoming he's a birdie machine. He's still a strong power hitter, even though he has slimmed down. And it didn't surprise me that you wanted to get involved. I actually thought you'd be leaning towards him for the US Open, though, Simon, because that's an event he usually does very well at. Los Angeles Country Club, I do believe, is hosting this. A course, a very, very private course. I don't think he's hardly had an event, has it, in the last 10, 20 years?
We actually are at Pinehurst next year for the US Open.
Oh, are we?
We were at LA Golf Club this year.
I'm getting mixed up, aren't I, completely? All right,
well, you go there if you want. We'll all be at Pinehurst.
Are we back at Pinehurst this year? Pinehurst was Martin Kamer, I think, won at Pinehurst.
He did.
Back there. But
European win.
Scheffler again, the favourite, plus 750.
He is, but this is where we go all in now with the Swedish wonder boy Åberg. Some of the stats he's produced have been just off the wall. We said that Scotty Scheffler had done some incredible stats. This guy, for a rookie, I mean, his driving percentages, his greens in regulation, it's absolutely terrifying. And he's only going to get better. And I just think Pinehurst, we saw what other Europeans have had success there. You mentioned Keimer. I think it's a very European style course. And I think that Åberg at that plus 28 now, 2,800, is the time to get on him. I think he will win at least once again on the PGA Tour, and that will immediately see his price cut for all four majors. But I do think this is the one. I don't think he can win the Masters. I've got a much stronger bet for our Open. I think that Bryson is superb value for there. So this would be the one, I think. And could it be, on his first full season on the PGA Tour, it's a big ask, but this guy's a superstar. So I think he certainly won't fail through lack of talent or lack of application. And he's got such self-belief. And of course, you come back to the Ryder Cup, people said it was crazy to put him in. Now look at him. Now he's won on the PGA Tour since. And of course, we see the other rookie, Nikolai Osgaard, won in Dubai. So a big, big thumbs up to Luke Donald for having the nerve to go with us two.
Plus 2,800 to win the US Open at Pinehurst, a famous venue, of course. I think this is one of those that is on the road to now for the US Open, to have it about every 5 or 6 years at this venue. I think that actually the HQ is here for the USGA. And I think back in the day, Payne Stewart won here famously, sadly before he died in the plane crash. And it is it's actually a venue where European golfers have done reasonably well back in the day. So Ludwig Åberg, is Åberg his pronunciation, isn't it? I do like
the tall Swedish guy,
yeah. So that's the US Open, and then the final major of the year, the British Open, is now the final major, of course. I still can't get my head around that.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy to think. Royal Troon this year for that. Rory McIlroy is the favourite at plus 900. Now I'm not sure I would have McIlroy favourite for any major, because I didn't think he'd be for you. But who is for you?
Well, fans, and I use the term loosely, of the Because We Win Ryder Cup specials will know there's a certain player that I'm quite fond of, Steve. He resembles a sort of seafaring pirate. It is, of course, the mighty Max Homa, who was just sensational. And we cashed and cashed again, but we are not forgetting the Pirate King this year. We're going to go with him for the Open. He played superbly last year in the Open. He was the top American, apart from the one that won it, Brian Harman, before you shout out. He really played superbly. He's got every shot in the book. His performance at the Ryder Cup in Italy will only give him confidence. He then went to South Africa and absolutely spanked the Sun City field there, which was a high-quality field, beating players like Tommy Fleetwood, and he never played at that course before.
Plus 4,000 to win the Open Championship. Max Homa could well be
incredible value. Incredible value. Get on the Pirate King.
The Americans do have a
raise the flag at the Open
as well. Yeah,
exactly.
While you're here, Sam, I was just saying you have released a book, I do believe, about gambling strategies, mentalities, and that. And there's a lot of people who watch these shows just for sort of general advice. What would you say? I mean, it's not an easy question because I'm putting you on the spot here a bit.
Fine.
Because I didn't put this in the itinerary, but sort of 3 big bits of advice if you are considering either betting, semi-professionally in the gambling world, or just trying to build up your bank balance. What's the 3 sort of big bits of advice in general, would you say, Simon?
Follow this show, obviously, would be number 4.
Good answer. Good answer.
How badly does he want to get back on? Secondly, I would say work out what it is you want from your betting. I know Nigel said similar things to this, but I think it's absolutely golden rule number one. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this to make serious money? Are you doing this to add fun to already your enjoyment of sport? Because if it is, that's completely fine. I know people who can't watch a Premier League game without having a bet on it. Doesn't mean they should. It means that's what they want to do. Discipline. I would say work out what it is you want from betting, write it down, work out how much you've got to put into this that you're prepared to lose, and really hold on to that. Don't have fun bets. Losing money has never been fun and never will be. So treat that pot incredibly carefully. So don't fritter it away. I know so many people who have a decent win on a horse race or a Premier League game or a golf tournament, and then they just like, I was going to use a different word, they just slowly edge it away and they don't realize. And then they look back and they've had 5 stupid bets on football games because they were live on TV and things like that. And all the good work they'd done in raising the pot was frittered
you need
away.
The discipline then. The discipline to avoid. I've always said a good bet, a no bet is at least it's not a losing bet,
great bet,
right?
Yeah,
it's avoid losers in betting is the one thing I would always say. That's why I like, in terms of football, soccer, whatever, I like to bring like pushes and half losses into my bets as often as I personally can. Do you think, I mean, you're a man who has a broad sports knowledge. Do you have to specialize, Simon, or can you be a successful sports bettor betting on a lot of different sports?
Well, I would say you can, obviously, but I think you have to specialize in understanding value and not really get bogged down in a particular sport. And everything has a price. You know, we're talking about Max Homer there at the Open. I think he's huge value. I want to be with him big style at that price. If you told me he was the same price as Rory McIlroy, I'd walk past him in the street. It's about having that discipline to know, and particularly in the Premier League, you know, we all meet Man United fans, we all meet Liverpool fans. Sadly, I meet quite a lot of them, it seems. And they'll just bet Liverpool, or Man United fans will bet Man United. And I always tell a story this. If Man United are playing Liverpool, now to put this in context, the most bitter hatred in English football bar none. Absolute hatred between the two clubs and fans. If you understand value and you're a Liverpool fan, are you prepared to bet Manchester United if they are a value price in your mind? If you answer yes, then you understand betting and value. If you can't bring yourself to do it, more work needed.
Well, I know some people genuinely really top bettors and handicappers, but they don't bet on their own team when their own team
very wise,
because it does cloud their judgment. So I think you've got to be very careful in that. You know, I know there's a lot of strings to your bow, Simon. I know you follow a lot of sports, horse racing, obviously. I know you've done a few politics shows and a bit of boxing as well. I know before you go, you wanted to talk about the big fight coming up.
February 17th.
February 17th. It's in Saudi Arabia, right? It's Usyk against Tyson Fury. Saw loads of different opinions about this. Some people even saying there might be sort of a fixed draw or a corrupt draw, as they say with boxing. But I know you've got a couple of thoughts on this fight.
Yeah. Now, I attended the Usyk Joshua fight with Nigel Seeley, and let me say the atmosphere in these boxing matches can be it can be more violent out of the ring than in the ring. And I realized something about him that night, that when it kicks off, Steve, he stood right behind me, believe you. So if anyone is ever attending a big fight with Seeley and it kicks off out of the ring, then I would say you need to grab him quick, or he'll be through the nearest exit. But I bet Usyk heavily that night when Joshua was a big favorite. And the interesting thing about the Usyk Joshua fight is that the late money, the smart money, the heavy money was for Usyk late, and the market contracted. And I believe that's what's going to happen here. And that's why I would say a Bet Rivers price now on Usyk at plus 125, Fury's minus 167. I think that market's only going to go one way. And I wouldn't be surprised if these two go off joint favorite on the night. I think that Tyson Fury is slightly over the top, and I think this is a bad fight. I think this is a fight that he didn't want. And just rewatch Usyk v Joshua. He does a real number on him twice. And Fury recently against Francis Ngannou, I mean, in his first boxing fight, you're talking about dodgy decisions, Steve. how he was given that, that is no preparation to fight Alexander Usyk, believe me.
No, it's certainly not. So certainly might be a good time to get on Usyk before, as the fight approaches. Maybe we could get a bit of value there. And while we've got you on the show, I suppose it'd be foolish of me not to actually ask, because since we've got, we are, Bet Rivers here are offering odds on the next US presidential election.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump is the plus 140 favorite, Joe Biden plus 225, Gavin Newsom plus 800, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plus 2,500. There's some of these names. Michelle Obama plus 2,500. I don't know how legit that is. You'll know better than me, Simon. I mean, politics can be a difficult subject, but in terms of raw value and betting, for you personally, where would that be? There's some other markets as well. Winning party, Republicans minus 115, Democrats minus 110. Where would your money be there?
Well, with any political betting, again, you're talking about emotion. I couldn't care less what people's politics are. I'm in this to make money.
Of course.
Yeah. Donald Trump, I believe, will re-win the presidency. And it's ironic, isn't it, that on the surface, you've got two people going for a second term. Joe Biden, the incumbent, and Donald Trump, who's already served 4 years. So you've got two people going for a second term. Now, I've got an 80-20 bet here. If you're not already on Donald Trump, and I know his price has been cut, but at plus 140 now, what I would do is have 80% of your stake on that and 20% on Gavin Newsom at plus 800. The reason is there is a very real chance that those two will square off. I don't think Biden will fight this campaign. I think he's going to get the old arm on the shoulder and walked away into some kind of presidential.
So he might not even be the candidate then for the Democrats.
Well, if he isn't, Gavin Newsom is already running a sort of shadow campaign. He over in China. Right. He's doing TV debates out there. He's just like he's waiting to jump in. If he does, and you're sat on 80% of your bet plus 140 on Donald Trump, and then you take the 8-1, the 800 on Gavin Newsom, you've got yourself you can get a nice cigar for the night and enjoy the evening. So I think there's a very real chance that Biden will not stand come next year. He's not getting any younger, but none of us are, Steve. And I think there's Gavin Newsom, the old California governor there. He's been cut from 14s into 8, so 140 into 1,400 into 800. And I think that is smart money. So I'd get on now, because I tell you what, if he does become the Democratic candidate, this will go into a joint favourite very, very quick.
I'll tell you what, this time next year, or just about 11 months' time, there's going to be some serious money on this election. At some point, we're going to have a UK election as well. So politics betting is very much going to come to to the front of of handicappers' minds soon. It's not for everyone, but we appreciate your thoughts there. Just before we sign out, I will give some thoughts on these games that we're running. No goals yet in the second half of the Man City Spurs game. Over 4.5 now is the goal line there. I mean, this my natural, the way goals and the amount of time, they'll probably be plus 10 added on here. I would still go towards the over, but the more it goes on, City are a team who can control game better than what Spurs do. This Lille game is still somehow too. Now, I don't know, honestly, I've been watching this and there's been chances everywhere. There's no way I'm holding on for this under Simon. It would be very lucky one. With 10 minutes left, you never know. Well, it's more like 20 minutes, isn't it, with bloody VAR? But and it's still Dortmund 1-0 away against Bayer Leverkusen.
Who'd have thought that, eh?
Well, what, the Dortmund one? The Dortmund score? Yeah, well, I don't know what it is. I think Dortmund, I've been against them a lot recently. I think what they are is what you call a result team. And you've got to look beyond stats and metrics. But
can I ask your opinion, Steve? Because you know
certainly
a lot more
can. You certainly can.
Now, a bet that I want to get interested in, I want to put on people's radars, particularly with the problems Man United are having. On the 12th of December, they entertain Bayern Munich, do they not?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting very excited about Munich as a bet in that game. Very excited. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think you might be more on the right track, because the thing is, Bayern Munich they've qualified as the group winners, whatever. But and they probably might rest some players. But there's an old rivalry between these two sides.
Exactly.
And will they want to take the chance to eliminate Manchester United? I think that would go down well with their fan base. Also, I mean, they just had a game cancelled because of the weather in Munich. They've had about no end of feet of snow down there. So, they might want to give minutes to players because they might be a little bit under match fit before their winter break, of course. So I think I'm with you because what a lot we'll have a look at is the lineups for Bayern and think it's going to be a weakened lineup or not. But it's that week you got to ask yourself, Simon, does the weakened Bayern 11 still beat a full strength Man U? It possibly does.
Well, and also the Bayern Munich machine, the mentality of it. Are they really going to turn up at Old Trafford and even go, "Oh, it doesn't matter, lads, we're through anyway"? There's not going to be any of that. They're going to want to come and do a number on them, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting debate. And for those, we will be doing the Champions League preview show with myself, Will White and RJ, and I'll be interested to see what them boys think about this. Dan Roebuck as well, because this is when it gets really interesting for Bettels, the final round of the Champions League. Same with end of a league campaign as well, where you look at the lineups on paper and you think weak, but the players that coming in might be motivated, because it's their chance to shine. So, sometimes you can get value just because of public perception is, they're not going to care and they're going to roll over, etc., or they need to win. I don't think you can trust Manchester United with monopoly money right now in any match. That's my personal opinion, Simon, but I can see you're the sort of bettor who does line up potential bets, in advance, and that's also an interesting strategy. I know some people who sort of live day to day on betting; they wait for the same game lines and things like that. But you're thinking sort of weeks and even months in advance with stuff.
Yeah, and if you do and you play a strategy and that strategy is wrong on the day, you've got time to take evasive action, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. You certainly do. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the reaction show.
It's been a pleasure,
some pearls of wisdom from Sam. Enjoyed doing it with you, and hopefully we'll see you again on here soon. And best of luck with all those picks that you suggested there. And
Thanks,
we move on to next week. I can't remember exactly who's on the reaction show next week. It might be Jack Wright, but I shall have
never heard of him.
Schedule again. Jack Wright, who by the way is looking like he could well go 3-0 in the EPL show. Or he needs Spurs to cover this handicap plus 1.75.
Jack's a shrewd cookie.
So but thanks everyone who watched. Best of luck with your bets for the remainder of the Sunday and heading into next week. But take care, everyone. Remember, do hit that like button and do hit that subscribe button if you're not already. It costs nothing and we'd greatly appreciate it. Check out the socials, of course, at Because We Win on X. Myself, you can get at Meatman Soccer. What's your Twitter handle? It's something a bit fancy, isn't it?
At Lord Oakwell.
Lord Oakwell. Love that one. Love that one indeed. And of course, do check out the Because We Win Instagram account as well. But from myself and Simon, it's goodbye from this one. We'll see you next time.